On today's segment of Straight Talk, I'm with Tom Friedl, who's the president and CEO of Hospeco, which is a manufacturer of protection, cleaning, and personal care products for all segments of the away-from-home marketplace. Tom is also the manufacturer director with the ISSA Board of Directors. Welcome, Tom.
Thanks, Jeff. It's good to be here with you.
Well, tell us a little bit about your professional career, your history with your company, and your role in growing the company, because I think today we want to hear some strategic ideas.
Sure. First, I think everybody should know one thing about me is that I'm a lifelong Cleveland Brown fan. And what that would tell you is that I'm an eternally optimistic person because I firmly believe every year that we're going to make the playoffs. And right now we're 2-1, and I think we're going to make it. So,
well, if I can interject, is it okay that I'm a Broncos fan?
Oh, you've ripped my heart out a couple of times, Jeff. So,
well, good. Yeah. Go Browns this year. They're looking good.
Oh, thank you. But seriously, my wife and I are the proud parents of 4 young adults, 2 boys and 2 girls. And in the winter, we're active curlers and enjoy that a great bit. So I've worked at Hospeco for close to 25 years now. I've been lucky enough to hold leadership positions in finance, operations, and sales within the company before being promoted to CEO in 2015. Regarding Hospeco, Hospeco is part of the Hospeco Brands Group, and we just celebrated our 100th anniversary at last year's trade show. And so we had a party there. It was excellent. In fact, it was extra special because our leader of Hospeco, Bill Heeman, also was recognized with a Distinguished Service Award from the manufacturer's reps. And so it was a great trade show last year and very monumental for Hospeco. Hospeco is a founding member of the ISSA. My predecessor and myself have been active on the board of the association over the years. So we've been meaningfully involved with the ISSA in the past. Hospeco's legacy categories were toilet seat covers, feminine hygiene products, and air care products. And over the years, both organically and through acquisitions, we've added multiple new categories to bring it up around 10. And we call those our signature brands group. And so we go out to market with the signature bundle as the Hospeco Brands Group. In terms of acquisitions, we've recently added 4 different companies: Adina, No Odor, and Acute Care Pharmaceutical. And then finally, just a month ago, we acquired a company called High Tech Conversions, which is a clean room converting company that also converts isopropyl alcohols. So it's been a very hot product over the last few months during the pandemic. All these different companies will then roll up into Hospeco Brands Group. And that's really what I spend my time on, is trying to find new product categories or companies that would meld well with us to form the Hospeco Brands Group.
Well, obviously you have plenty to do with everything you just described. So let's talk now about the current crisis, the pandemic. And my question would be, what surprised you most about it? Is there anything that stands out?
Yeah, sure. First, I think we're all humbled by this global scope and the sheer number of lives that have been lost to the virus. It's been amazing. In addition, there's so many people facing such dire economic uncertainty within their different industries that they've been shut down, that it's been truly a sobering moment, not only for us at Hospeco, but for everybody in the industry. But I think that the most surprising thing about the pandemic has been how long it has gone. I think we all knew right from the start that this was different than most viruses, based on what we saw internationally, and then how quickly the government came in and really shut down so many businesses right away, that we all knew that it was different. In March and April, I really think our entire industry assumed a great leadership position in trying to get out as many supplies to all of the local schools, the businesses, the local BSCs, so that everybody was going to be ready to be prepared for the opening. And everybody did a great job within our industry. We are ready for it. But unfortunately, because of the lack of the ability to have a vaccine for it, we've never really opened up the economy exactly the way we all thought we would. So really, I think that's been the thing, is the length of the virus this far.
Well, since the beginning of this pandemic, your company was designated an essential business, obviously, with what you guys do, what you folks do. Tell us about the story of how you responded to the pandemic, maybe some of the challenges and solutions that you could brag about.
Sure. I first maybe would talk a little bit about, us at Hospeco and our reaction, and then maybe we talk a little bit about some of the products and the supply chain. March and April were amazing times. It'll be etched in my memory for my lifetime, I can tell you that. Our team, the amount of extra hours that everybody at our facilities worked, the Saturdays and Sundays, and just going continuously trying to respond, like I said, to the challenge, has been amazing. Our governor of Ohio, I think, assumed a great leadership position overall. He, gave us daily briefings and told us what to do. Hospeco was an early adapter to the separation work cells, to daily temperature checks, and to disinfecting after every one of our shifts. We implemented that immediately, not only in our Ohio locations, but our other 9 locations across the United States. And it immediately told our employees, many of which, their spouses or their children, their companies weren't doing these things. And so they immediately knew and appreciated what we were doing. And it was a pretty neat story, Jeff, that at Hospeco, at Knoxville, where we have 200 employees, the Knoxville Evening News was doing a series of specials on those companies that are essential businesses and working through the pandemic and doing it the right way. And so they did a feature of us on the Evening News. Somebody that was watching it picked it up and called in and offered to buy our company lunch the next day. And so, we told him, hey, give the guy a call back and let him know that we have 200 people here. And he probably, we appreciate it. And he called, when they called him, he said, yeah, I called the news station and asked, and they told me it was about 200 people, and I wanted to do it for you guys. So that's a neat story, but that's, kind of the power of kind of a community of Knoxville coming together.
I like that story. That's really cool that you had that effect on others. Well, talk to us about aligning your existing product mix, if any, about new products that you might have introduced during the pandemic.
Sure. So first, the categories that we do that are relative to this is we do a lot of categories to keep people safe. So we supply gloves, masks, PPE, pre-moistened wipers, and general non-purpose non-woven wipers. All of which, as you know, have been in great demand over the last 6 months. And in some cases, a lot of the items have been backordered. But a good story around that would be the pre-moistened wipers, EPA registered wipers, have been backed up for quite some time. And so our team created a dry roll of non-woven and put it into a sealable plastic bag. And then all of our distributor partners across the U.S. has ample availability of chemicals. And so we got it into their hands. And while it wasn't as effective as an EPA registered wiper, it gave people a nice solution to be able to clean their facilities if they needed it in the absence of anything. So our team and really our customers have responded with that. From a new product perspective, I think we all know that the touch-free restroom, while it's been important over the last few years, is going to become more and more important in the future. So we really have just recently introduced 4 different products. One is a hands-free menstrual care receptacle. Another one is a hands-free tampon and napkin dispenser. And then the other 2 are a hands-free toilet seat cover cleaner and a hands-free toilet seat cover dispenser, all going around the whole hands-free restroom, trying to prevent germ and trying to prevent the passing of germs from one to another. So I think that's where we've been active in.
Well, while we're talking about products, would you like to share any thoughts on the supply chain and how you've navigated through 2020?
Sure. So we supply a significant amount domestically, and then internationally we do over 100 containers a month throughout the world. And so our supplies are coming into us in droves on a daily basis. And one thing that I would consistently say is that there's a great deal of uncertainty amongst the global supply chain. Our suppliers have let us down, our suppliers have let them down. And so consequently, we've had issues where we haven't met the customer's needs. And again, Jeff, similar to the Knoxville story I gave you, very good human nature story is I've never seen as an understanding response from our customers. Their simple response has primarily been, hey, tell us what you can do, what you can commit to, give us some options, and we'll work through it together. And it's been a joy working with those customers. It tells you that these are people that you want to be working with. And really, that's been the whole industry, I think. The industry has come together and it's made us closer as we work through this process. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about ISSA, because I know that takes up a bit of your time as well. Tell us about your journey to where you're at now with the board of directors.
Sure. My journey is probably a little bit different. I mentioned that I started in finance and operations. And so my first 10 years of career at Hospeco, I might have gone to the ISSA trade show once. And it wasn't until I got into the leadership roles in the operation and finance and then subsequently leading the sales team that I really realized how important the ISSA was, not only to Hospeco, but to our industry. And so eventually, leading Hospeco sales group, I eventually was asked to participate in the trade show committee. And for those of you that don't know about the trade show committee, you go through a day after, some period after you come together as a group and review what was good and bad about the trade show. And what I found is, in order to really give those honest opinions, and I was asked to do it from the manufacturer's perspective, in order to give those honest opinions, you really had to look at the agenda of the trade show and try to participate in as many of the events so you could give meaningful input. And so that was really where it just opened up my eyes of how big not only the trade show was, but the whole event. And so I did that for a number of years. And then John Garfinkel and John Barrett asked me to run for the manufacturer's representative on the board. I'm just finishing my third year on that. And I think, as with all of my fellow board members would say, it's just an eye-opening experience, Jeff. I think first it's an honor to be there with all of the great successful business leaders that are on the board. Some of them are running the family-owned businesses that's been in their family for generations, and then others are running multinational businesses. And so it's a great mix of people together. But I think that the eye-opening part of it for most people is what a strong organization the ISSA is. If people think it's a sleepy trade show organization, they're gravely mistaken. It's an aggressive organization that's trying to bring education, advocacy, and trade shows, not just within the U.S., but globally across the world. In some countries, they haven't done it yet, but they're working on it. And other countries, they've been as successful as they've been in the United States. So it's a great organization that I'm proud of it, and I'm sure that all of our members should be proud of it as well. So.
I do know there's something important that you are working on now with ISSA, and that's with the Government Affairs Advisory Committee, or GAAC, another acronym to learn. Tell us about this new advisory board and what you're seeing it do in the short and long term.
Sure. This has been a committee that we've talked about on the board really since I got on 3 years ago. If you think about what's happened over the last couple of years, we've had some significant labor laws that have come into place. Tariffs have been an absolute significant component of our industry. And then there's safety regulations that are out there, something like the safety of employees for BSCs and after hours cleaning at a building. And so these are all things that as an organization or an industry, we would love somebody to advocate for us as a whole, as opposed to an individual company doing it. And so it was last year that John came to the board again and talked about it, and we all decided that it was something that we should move forward on. And the timing of it was very fortuitous. It came about right around the COVID pandemic. Our leader, John Nodorf, who leads the organization, is partnered with many different business association groups. And one of the things that they're working on is something that's called the Clean Start Tax Credit. And basically, this gives any business that opens up after the shutdown a tax credit if they spend additional money on cleaning supplies or cleaning processes, and reimburses them through a tax credit. John has worked with the business groups that I mentioned. He has over 40 different business groups that have signed on to it. He's talked to many senators, and I've joined a couple of the calls, and then House of Representatives. Obviously, this is contingent upon the phase 2 of the PPP Act, and assuming that gets approved, I full well expect that some form of the Clean Start tax credit will be on one of those bills that eventually gets approved. So that's a good example, Jeff, of something that John's working on and trying, and really what the committee's about is trying to just advocate for our members as a whole, as opposed to us trying to do it individually.
Yeah, some good initiatives that you've just discussed for sure. Let's do one more question, kind of an open mic opportunity for you. Any advice or guidance you would share with the global cleaning industry?
Sure. I think that what's happened over the last 6 months will change our industry forever. We all know that we've taught and tried to sell the best practices upon cleaning. And many times people with the best of intentions listen, try and want to accept it, but because of cost reasons, historically they've backed away from it. Society now, as they come back from the shutdown, wants a clean facility, and they're demanding a clean facility. And so into the future, all of those best practices that we've tried to educate people around are going to be so much more readily accepted in society, and it's going to change our industry and improve our industry from a quality standpoint, and also drive more business into our industry. And so overall, I think our industry has taken a nice step forward, and a very unfortunate time for us overall.
Well, Tom, thank you very much for your time today. I know you've got a lot to do with what you described at the beginning of our interview with your company.
Thanks, Jeff. I really appreciate your series that you've done, and appreciated hearing from all the other people that you've interviewed. It's been entertaining for me. Thank you.
Have a good day.